I always find this week between Christmas and New Year's of this weird in-between kind of week. See, let me explain. There's always like a little bit of nostalgia or like feeling of the old. This is a week where you're probably looking back on the year that this was. We're not going to talk about that because we all know how that went. But there's a little bit of the old. It's a little bit of looking back. It's a little bit of thinking about the highlights or the lowlights of the past year. But it's also this mix of looking forward to the new. Of looking forward to the next year, looking forward to maybe the new things that you got for Christmas. It's this weird in-between of old and new. And I've always thought this week was interesting. Even as a middle or high school, I remember sort of in this stuck in between of thinking about things of the past, but also dreaming about things of the future and looking forward to new things happening. And I just want us to take a moment, the next few minutes today. And I want to ask you two questions. And I want you to really think about these two questions, okay? Don't just give a short answer and that's it. No, maybe you need to pause the video and write it down. Maybe you need to make a note in your phone. Maybe you need to do something. But I want to encourage you to really think about and dive into these two questions. Here's the first one. What is something that you lost in 2020? What was something you lost in 2020? Because the truth of the matter is, all of us lost something. Maybe it was a family member or a loved one or a friend. Maybe it was an opportunity. Maybe it was a dream. Maybe it was a chance to do something. Maybe it was a job. Maybe it was your money. Maybe it was your patience. Maybe it was your sanity. Maybe it was your mental health. I mean, whatever it might be, all of us lost something this year. And when we take the time to think about what we lost and take time to really process and grieve it, it can allow us to then bring it to God and bring it to others. Because when we don't really know what it is that we lost, we don't really know what it is that we're struggling with and what we've walked through this year, it's a lot harder for us to be able to process it and begin to move forward. So yes, think about the old this year. Think about this past year. Think about what it is that you lost. And then write it down. And maybe you need to just say your list to God. He already knows it, but you acknowledging that to Him and bringing that to Him, maybe that's the weight that needs to be lifted off of you. And then maybe you need to bring it to someone else. Maybe you need to let your small group leader know. Maybe you need to let me know or someone else know or whoever. Maybe you need to tell someone what it is that you lost and what it is that you're currently struggling with because of that. So that's the first question of what did you lose in 2020? But I want to ask another question, and I want to spin it around this time. What is something that you gained in 2020? What's something that you gained in 2020 that you want to bring with you into 2021? We like to sort of paint this picture that this whole year was bad, right? That this whole entire year was just a mess. That nothing good happened, that we're ready to move to 2021. And we can even find ourselves saying that this next year is going to be perfect. It's going to be great. When we know that there are struggles and hardships in every single year. But I want you to think for a second about what is something you might have gained in 2020. Maybe it's a new insight. Maybe it's a lesson that you learned. Maybe it's a new value that you hold on to. Maybe time with family and being able to reconnect with family members. Or maybe even having some downtime and having a less busy schedule. Think about some of those things that you gained in 2020 that you can actually bring into 2021. Because what we believe is that God is a redeemer. That means that He works in the midst of things that are not good and turns them for good. It doesn't mean that He's causing bad things or that He's absent in those, but it means that He's able to take the bad stuff of our world and redeem those things for good. And here's the word I'm thinking about for 2021, for my life, and I hope this can help you, is I think that 2021, it can be a year of renewal. Because to renew something, it means a couple different things. To renew something, it means to sort of redo and renovate and make it better. Renewal is taking something that might be broken and fixing it. It might be making something that's no longer happening and making it happen again. And I think that 2020 has brought a lot of interruptions and a lot of things that we just need renewal on. And so I want to read this verse to you. This comes from the book of Colossians. And before this, the author of Colossians was talking about all of these things that because of our new life in Christ, when we say yes to Jesus, when we have new life in Christ, the author's talking about all these things that we no longer do. All these things that we no longer have to do. All this sin that we no longer do. But then the author says this verse I want to read to you. Put on your new nature and be renewed as you learn to know your Creator and become like Him. So let's break this down for a second. The author says to put on your new nature. That means that there's something new that you can put on. Much like you might be wearing new clothes right now from Christmas or new shoes or whatever. You can put on a new nature, a new way of being because of Jesus. And be renewed, which means that the old things, the broken things, the things that need renewal, they can be renewed as you learn to know your Creator and become more like Him. So here's my challenge for you in these next few days leading up to when we're back together next week in person. I want to invite you to begin to learn to know your Creator. Begin to learn to know a little bit more about who God is, about who Jesus is, about what God says about you and what God says for your life. Well, we're going to have some amazing opportunities for you to do that in this coming year as well, starting in January when we're back together next week. But I want to invite you to take some time when you're off school for a few more days, when you got some time, to learn to know your Creator. Begin to discover who He is and what He says about you. And then you can put on this new nature and be renewed. Thanks for watching. Have a happy new year. We'll see you in 2021.